Nate, how you doing?
Doing good.
Oh, I forgot to say welcome. Welcome everybody who's joining us tonight. This is the Horror Syndicate Discourse, and tonight we're talking about, if you didn't see it on the way in, home invasion horror, or just home invasion movies in general, which can be certainly terrifying. I
Yeah.
remember seeing one on the list, like A Clockwork Orange, that scared the shit out of me, but I never thought of it as a horror movie. But that home invasion scene in that movie, we'll get to that, but it scared the shit out of me. And I saw that in the theater. It was the first time I ever saw that back in
You
like
saw Clock
1998.
you saw Clockwork in the theater?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh
Awesome.
dude, we got a great deal here. The it's a big chain theater called the Marcus Theater. Back in the day, it was called Warenberg, and during the Halloween season, they get 8 movies and show two of them every Friday and Saturday night throughout October. And so I was on top of every single one of them. And Clockwork Orange was one of them. I was like, I've heard so much about this movie, I've never seen it. I'm going to go see it on the big screen. It makes sense to me. So this
Yeah.
is like 1997, 1998. And I loved it, and I was terrified. And that was, I heard of Kubrick, and I never really paid attention to who he was. Then I realized later on that week, I was like, oh my god, that's the same guy who did The Shining. And then I saw, actually, it was the year Eyes Wide Shut came out, so that was '99, I think.
99.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, hey everybody, Nate and I are here holding down the fort.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a home invasion movie ourselves, and three of us have been picked off already. So it's
Yeah,
down to me and Ray. So let's see who the final girl is.
I have a feeling it'll be me. The Clockwork Orange is a messed up movie. But yeah, we want to hear from you, your comments, and all these movies have a terrifying factor, in my opinion. A couple of them I've not seen, and I finally got to see one of them last night, which I really liked the movie overall. It was on Shudder. It's called Wait Until Dark. First time I ever saw Audrey Hepburn in a movie. I think Keith said that too, didn't
Yeah, I believe you guys are all virgins for Audrey.
he? And I think this was a good one. She was great.
And that's it's a
Uh,
great one.
But I tell you, every time I would close my eyes because I swear she sounds just like from Rosemary's Baby. I said her name yesterday.
Mia
Uh,
Farrow.
Mia Farrow. Yeah, I'm like she sounds just like her, And but it was good. It was a good movie. But we're not going to waste any time. I think Seth may join us. I'm not sure about Jared, and Keith is taking the evening off. Hopefully, enjoying Candyman: Day of the Dead. Or I don't know if he's watching that. I'm just joking. But that Blu-ray is announced real fast though. Nate showed us a video. Quentin Tarantino was on Stephen Colbert last night. Was it last night? Was
I
it
don't
last
know
night?
what night it
It
was.
was.
Someone
It
shared
was
it
a
with
couple
me.
nights ago. Pretty
Yeah.
recent. Well, he's promoting his book that you read earlier this year. Once Upon a
Yeah.
Time in Hollywood, wasn't
Yeah. Which is has home invasion in
it?
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Any Manson
Uh,
movie does.
in
Yeah.
the movie, yeah. So he was talking about The Thing, and I highly suggest checking this clip out because those two were going on about how great The Thing is, and I totally agree with both of them. But then Quentin Tarantino kind of goes into the importance of why it's important to see movies at the cinema, and that's something that Nate and I really 100% agree on because
Mhm.
you're there. You shouldn't be on your phone. You shouldn't be doing this or that. Your attention should be on the screen. Plus, you're seeing, and it's an event. And for me, it's always an event. Seeing I saw Halloween on Halloween. One of that was like a check mark off of my photo bucket. What is wrong with me? My bucket list. Seeing Halloween on the big screen, it was a big deal to me. And I think seeing movies on the big screen is extremely important. And like seeing a Clockwork Orange for the first time in like 98, 99 on the big screen was a big deal for me. So I think you agree with that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it on the big screen, so I envy you there.
Next time they have it, come on up. Got a place to stay. So ever since we decided we were going to do this topic, I watched You're Next, and I love that movie. And that song that they play at the beginning of the movie, uh,
We're
yeah, it's something about the
gonna,
magic.
we're gonna
I've
kick
listened to
them.
it like 1,000 times in the last couple of days. I just love it so much. And it's like it's not like a big part of the movie, but they
And they
they
had a
have
great,
this like it's great. It's like it's a very very happy song, but I like
yeah.
every time they go back to the house, it's still playing because
And
it's on repeat.
I have to bring up like the music choice, like the the trailer was great because they had Lou Reed's "It's Such a Perfect Day." Remember the trailer for that?
I've never seen the trailer. I just picked it up at Family Video. I was like, oh, this looks cool.
Your
And
Next
I
got a
went to
great
watch it.
trailer, and it's got
Really?
the Lou Reed song on it. It just matches
That's
so
the song
perfectly.
that's in Trainspotting, right?
Yeah, oh, it's such a perfect day.
Yeah. That's a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, home invasion movies are. I've actually I was thinking about that. I've made a couple. like Fear for Sinners here was a straight up home invasion film, and one of the movies on our list was in my head when I was writing it, along with another one. It's not on our list. I'll just mention it. All Through the House, the Tales from the Crypt story that was on the '72 movie and the TV series where the escaped mental patient has escaped and then is dressed like Santa Claus and is out there.
It was an early episode too.
Yeah, and I think it was like the second or third episode. I think Zemeckis may have directed it. I know his wife was the star.
I'll look it up.
And then a couple of other films have home invasion sequences. That was the hard part about this. Like we're listing 25 home invasion movies we think you should see. Not everything's on there because there's so many. And then there's the whole thing where a movie isn't a home invasion movie, but there's a home invasion sequence in it, but it's not surrounding it, like a movie like, Vigilante or Cold in July or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even Home Alone, has a home invasion in it, but there's
it does.
So there's real broad spectrum for that. But those, even Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer has a very disturbing.
How did that make the list? That does have a really bad scene. Yeah, that's fucking terrifying.
That's the same people remember. And then he even talked about last night about American Werewolf in London with the Nazi werewolf characters, the demons that come in the house and blow them all away. That was terrifying. It just comes out of nowhere. Really violent, scary moment. So there's some that aren't on the list. What we did was the five of us picked 5 movies, and if once someone picked 5, we're like, all right, those 5 are canceled out, so you got to pick 5 other ones.
Yeah.
So these are they're not in order. They're in order of release and what year they came out.
Yeah. So this isn't a countdown. This is not like
So it's not a definitive.
Trying to make it fair.
Yeah, it's not a definitive list. There's others that aren't going to be on the list that probably should, but we just didn't put them on our individuals. But these are 25 that the 5 of us chose. So you want to get into the countdowns? I guess it's not really a countdown, but the 25 list.
Just a list. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like you said, we're doing it in order of release. So, in this one, I thought he was talking about the remake, but Cape Fear, which does have a great, 1991 version. I've never seen the original, but I do remember seeing, and I'm weird about horror movies saying, well, this is horror, this is not. I never thought of this as horror, but yeah, Robert De Niro is terrifying in the remake. So talk about the original, if you could.
Oh yeah, I mean they're I figured they both count. I mean, I prefer I'm a big Scorsese guy, and the original was great. You got Robert Mitchum there, who's always amazing. Gregory Peck, I liked Gregory Peck a lot more than I liked Nick Nolte. But it's kind of hard to overlook what Scorsese did. Scorsese did a lot of Hitchcock, whereas Cape Fear was trying to be Hitchcock. I think I like Scorsese's film better. De Niro's performance is terrifying. Plus, we still get Robert Mitchum and Gregory Peck and Martin Balsam, and they have their cameos in the movie.
Yeah.
But I love that movie made Juliette Lewis a star.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Her and De Niro were both nominated for that film. It's not one of those movies that Scorsese gets praised for much, but when you have so many amazing movies like that guy does, Seth say something. Why don't you have video?
His list sucks.
Oh. His list sucks.
I don't remember who's who. So
yeah, I don't remember who had Cape Fear. I know it was on I had like a list of like 40 initially. But Cape Fear is.
We said we're doing this show. Nate's like, I've got 35. like immediately.
Well, I was like, well, whatever y'all don't pick, I'll fill in. You guys pick your 20, and then I'll fill in with the last 5. But yeah, I mean, for people who I assume a lot of these movies a lot of people may have not seen, so we don't want to spoil anything. So we'll try not to spoil anything. With Cape Fear, basically the story is whether it's Robert Mitchum and Robert De Niro play a character named Max Cady, who went to prison for rape and a 16-year-old girl, and his lawyer was played by Gregory Peck and Nick Nolte, depending on which movie you're in, and he had evidence that he knew that Katie was guilty. Katie's a piece of shit. He knew that he raped this 16-year-old girl, but he's supposed to be defending him, and he has a piece of material that could have probably gotten him out of it, but he buried it and let Katie go to prison. So Katie knows this. Katie's gotten out of prison after 15. I think in the original it's like 8 years, and in the remake it's 15, 14 years. And he now is out and going to torment and make, I think he tells the lawyer, I'm going to make you know what loss is like, or what loss is. So he just becomes to torment and follow around the lawyer and his family, his wife and his 14-year-old daughter, 15-year-old daughter. And, no one, he goes try to get help from the police and stuff like that. No one can do anything because he hasn't really broken the law yet, or he's really slick. He's spent 14 years, at least in the remake, reading all kinds of books and learning law and learning, how to outsmart this guy and how to get away with what he wants to do. So it's probably more classified as a thriller than a horror film, but Max Cady is as terrifying as any villain you're going to see in a horror film or a slasher film.
Yeah. I mean, based on Robert De Niro's performance, I totally agree with that. I mean, and these don't necessarily have to be horror. I mean, these are terrifying films in their own right. So just home invasion films in general are edge of your seat, tension building, clenched butt cheek type movies. So,
and while this movie doesn't focus purely on a home invasion, there is a home invasion in it, but it's more that, what is home? Home is your family. This guy is invading this guy's family life, and his family is wherever they go, he's there. So, in this context, the home is Nick Nolte and Gregory Peck's wife and daughter, and his space, and wherever it comes, this guy's going to break in, and it's all going towards
Unfortunately, it's not streaming anywhere. I really want to watch the original one. I've seen clips of it before, of course, because it's one of those movies that you hear about. And of course, when the remake came out in '91 or '92, it was one of those that I know my mom watched because she remembered hearing about when she was a kid. But yeah, I'd like to see it. I do like. I haven't seen the original since the '90s, but I remember staying away from it because I loved Robert De Niro, and he was not Robert De Niro in that movie. Which shows how great of an actor he really is.
Yeah.
I remember that come out wherever you are line when he's in the house looking for them. And wasn't it the ending didn't wrap up and there's this terrible storm, and wasn't that the end?
Yeah, on the boat.
Yeah.
And it's got an amazing score by Bernard Herrmann, who it sounds similar to his score for Psycho. So, and it's one of, Robert Mitchum's one of the coolest actors of all time. And it's one of Robert Mitchum's, like, Out of the Past and Night of the Hunter. And this is probably one of the big Robert Mitchum roles that people remember.
What is Philo?
What?
Philo. The remake is streaming on Philo, whatever the hell that is. I was looking to see if it was streaming anywhere. I know Keith did kind of a deep dive. Yeah, we'll get to The Collector. That's one of Keith's, I believe.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and this again, 25 home invasion movies you should check out if you can. And so far, I think the first 2 you have to physically find. The second one I've never seen, In Cold Blood.
In Cold Blood was based on a true story. The book was written by Truman Capote, who talking about Audrey Hepburn. Truman wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's. He was not like a guy that was known for writing true crime books. He wrote like these movies are it's like totally out of his wheelhouse, but he became really obsessed with this story. These two guys broke into this farmhouse in Kansas, and like I don't remember what year it was, and someone maybe the late 50s, early 60s, the Cutter family, and they were trying to rob him because they figured this guy had a lot of money, and they ended up murdering the family, and they were like caught, and Capote befriended them when they at least one of them, and kind of became friends with them, and wrote this book about it, about the murders and everything. The movie's really cool. It's black and white. It's Robert Blake and Scott Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
People know
Scott,
and Scott Wilson's great in it. Actually, like one of the only I have my home theater here. It's all dedicated to like 20s to the 60s, and the only two autographs I have on the wall are Scott Wilson. I have an in cold blood picture with Truman, Scott, and Robert signed by Scott, and then he signed for me probably a few months before he passed. And then I just got Mary Badham from To Kill a Mockingbird signed a To Kill a Mockingbird picture that I have up with her and Gregory Peck. But yeah, In Cold Blood is just it's a really cool film. It really like the cinematography. It's really and Scott. If you like Scott Wilson, this is like one of his first roles, and
he's a youngin' in this one.
Yeah, he's phenomenal in it. And so Robert Blake, of course, was the bigger star at that point, or in general until like Scott probably really didn't become hugely known until he did The Walking Dead. I really think he was a great character actor. But that show made him, at least in the horror world, a big star. But I don't want to go into it too much again because it is a true crime story. Read the book, read Capote's book. If you saw the movie Capote, it kind of focuses on when he was writing that book.
Really?
So yeah.
Oh.
And a funny thing is, I didn't really think about it, but the connection, or Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and Truman grew up together. They were childhood friends. So I didn't even think about that. I got those two
very connected
pictures. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's another one. I definitely. This is the great thing about making lists with Nate is you find things that you need to see eventually, or at some point somehow. This one unfortunately is not streaming. I looked, it's not streaming anywhere, so it's one we'll have to find physically. So I'm going to Vintage Stock tomorrow. So I've got the list written down, and I'm gonna see if I can't find any. And the next one on our list, if you're ready for that, is Wait Until Dark. And man, I'm glad that you found that this was on Shudder, because this was a good one. I really enjoyed it. And her performance, Audrey Hepburn, I had never seen her in anything before, so this was my first. And same thing with Keith. It was good. The thing is, I've seen scenes of this with like Alan Arkin and Richard Crenna, and the other guy from Dirty Dancing. I don't know his name. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I them like the beginning of the movie when they want to put I don't remember the line they use, but put the weapons on the table, but not Geraldine because she's the referee. I saw that, and I love that scene. I was like, what is this movie? Because I saw it on Terror in the Isles. You remember the documentary from 1984? And I always was like, what is this movie? Because Alan Arkin, to me, I love him in his older roles. I'd never seen too much, not seen much of him when he was younger.
You gotta look into it. He is so fucking great.
He is great. I mean, but mostly from when he's older. That's what I remember. But seeing him in that, I'm like, who is this guy? I don't know who it is. He looks like a creep. He plays that role really well. And I like the way this movie was shot because it reminded me of movies from the 30s and 40s. A couple of set pieces here and there, but mainly in one location, and it's that awesome apartment. By the way, I want to live in that apartment. That apartment's so cool.
It's definitely, it may be my favorite movie on the list when I'm back, because my daughter asked me, because I've been watching a lot of them again, because I've seen all of them, but I was watching them again for tonight. She said, "Which one's your favorite?" I was like, "I think Wait Till Dark is my favorite, just because." I mean, it's a guy that directed Dr. No and Russia with Love.
4 James Bond movies. And
Terrence Young. Thunderball. And Alan Arkin just playing a character you didn't really get to see him play makes me wish he played more heavies, because he really is terrifying in the film, and I just love how just laid back he is, just kind of sitting in the chair,
I know.
his shades on.
That's
and
one of my favorite parts of him. He's chilled out talking to the other guys. The other guys are on the defensive, and he's just chill the whole time.
Movie, I think what's cool about the movie is it's really highly intelligent, where everyone's playing each other, and they're taking advantage of this blind woman.
Yeah.
For those who don't know the story, Audrey Hepburn plays a blind woman who's in her apartment, and was it her husband or boyfriend? I can't remember. Her husband was on a train or plane, and this woman who was smuggling heroin for Alan Arkin and a doll. Yeah. She the doll ended up with him, and now they're trying to get the doll back, and they know it's in the apartment somewhere. And these Alan Arkin has hired these two guys, Richard Crenna and the Dirty Dancing guy, as you said, to
find his name.
Yeah, to get into the house and like find the doll, but not like just break in. And
Jack Weston. Yeah.
And
Dirty Dancing
they because she's blind, they
Max Kellerman. That's who he was. Dirty Dancing.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Well, they just kind of manipulate this woman who can't see who they are. Alan Arkin will disguise himself and play different characters, but
he was good too at that.
There's this whole chess game going on. It's this real great thriller, and it's just a wonderful film, really is, and it has a great jump scare as well in it.
Which one are you talking? What part?
I won't give it away. Yeah, but there's a great jump scare at the end. Yeah.
Oh man, well, there's one scene at the God, I don't want to give it away either, but there's one scene at the end that they kind of throw a curveball at you that you don't expect, and plus, I gotta give respect to Crenna in this one. He was really good and very
suave. Favorites of his.
I was like, I'd date him. I'm not gay, but I'd date him. Like, I love the beginning when the three of them are talking. Max Kellerman, of course, and the commanding officers from Rambo, and then Alan Arkin. The one movie I remember is Slums of Beverly Hills. Was one of the first movies I remember with Arkin in it, and he stabs some dude with a fork. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
But anyway,
one of my favorite Alan Arkin things. It's the shittiest movie he was probably in. It was the Jerky Boys, where he played the mob boss.
Yeah.
And like he sees what was the old guy's name? The guy from Christmas Vacation, William Hickey. William Hickey's like the Godfather, and like he sees him, and he's like sitting in a chair. He's got a cigar in his hand, and Alan Arkin kneels down to kiss his ring, and when he does, the cigar starts burning his.
Yeah.
And instead of like say, Alan Arkin just goes, "Ow, shit, fuck." It's just the way he delivers it. It always makes me laugh, but that whole moment is like worth watching. Jerky Boys.
He's such an underrated actor. Nobody talks about him.
Yeah, they don't. He's brilliant. He really is. I've never not enjoyed Alan Arkin. You need to definitely check out his older stuff, like Catch-22 and The Russians Are Coming. I've
seen Catch-22. He's in that. I gotta watch.
Yeah, he's a star at Catch-22.
I gotta watch that. It's been years, so yeah. Alan Arkin's fantastic. And check this out. It's on Shudder. Wait until dark. Catch it as soon as you can, because who knows how long it'll be on there. But it's definitely worth watching. And I love this screen cap you sent over. By the way, I love it. I love her. I love that her face. The the end. I want to talk about the end. Yeah, I can't. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Go watch it. It's on Shudder, and we'll talk about it some other time, because it's a really. You know what? I remember we didn't do. I don't think we did the list for the 60s, did we? The top 25 of the 60s or top.
I don't think we did. No.
We got to do it now, because this is going to be on my list. I'm just saying. We talked about the 70s, right? Or did we? I don't remember. Anyway, hey, next one's A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
A fucking terrifying movie from front to back. And I can't be. There's no way I'm wrong about this. I mean, the characters, the droogs, right?
Yeah.
They're fucking scary. Like the whole idea of street gangs and I guess it's London, right?
Yeah.
And then the home invasion scene in that part,
I'm saying in the rain.
Sitting there like I didn't know what to expect when I saw it in the theater. Now I see this. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? My little 18-year-old brain is watching this.
I think that was how old I was when I saw it. I saw it in like '94 or so, and when I really started getting into film more than I'd been, and uh, yeah, a buddy
A
of
little
mine was like,
ultra-violent, yeah.
"Yes, you got to see Clockwork," and
Hmm.
so I watched it, and it's just there's nothing like that movie. Like that was
No.
I'd seen The Shining, I'd seen Full Metal Jacket. I don't know if I'd seen a lot of other Kubrick movies at that point, so I was really, even though I mean, seeing The Shining and seeing Full Metal Jacket, you get a taste of it, but like this is like pure Kubrick. Like there's nothing like that movie,
Mm-mm.
and Malcolm McDowell's performance and the just everything about that film. And like you said, like for those who don't know, haven't seen it, I'd be surprised. But you know, it's about like in the near future, and the teenagers are out of control. They're all these street gangs, and they're fighting with each other. But like Malcolm McDowell plays a guy named Alex DeLarge, who is a teenager who's, I think it says in maybe the tagline or something, like his hobbies are Beethoven and rape.
Yeah.
So like that's what they go out at night, they get fucked up on this milk bar. They go to this milk bar, and this milk is laced, and it kind of amps them up like it's like a drug. And they go out, and they just break. In the beginning, they break into this writer's house, what you're seeing in an image, and
Yeah.
they
Pull it back up.
attack them, rape the wife. I think yeah. So
Doesn't she then they kill her?
I think they kill her. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. 'Cause she's not around when it comes back around.
yeah. So I don't want to give away, but you know, it's just a very unique experience. It's everything about
Oh
it, the
my
music.
God. I'm looking at numbers here. This movie made $114 million in 1971 on a $1.3 million budget. That's insane.
Based on a novel as well, Anthony Burgess novel, who created his own language. Like the Droogs, Alex, they have their own slang, which is really interesting to listen to.
The old in out in out.
Old in out and out, a
I
bit of
love
the old
that.
ultraviolence,
The
yeah.
old in out in out. Who played the husband? He's been in a ton of movies.
I don't know his name. Yeah, he was in like Tales from the Crypt, the '72 movie.
What was his name in the movie? Do you remember?
In Clockwork?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I'll look him up. I'm looking him up right now.
But David Prowse played his manservant later in the movie, the guy that was living when he goes back to the house.
Patrick McGee.
Yeah, the big guy. That's David Prowse.
Yeah, David Prowse is in a lot of films that I didn't expect him in. I was watching those Through the Hammer movies, and he plays a lot of things in the Hammer movies. Yeah, if you're a fan of film at all, I mean, A Clockwork Orange is an absolute must. If you've never seen it, and not even just for the home invasion, it's totally fucked up. It's a mind trip. And I did walk out of the movie theater thinking I need to buy this. And that's funny because I think that year they released a Kubrick box set of VHS tapes, which had 2001, Shining, all of the ones up to that point. I bought that shortly after I saw this. I never bought all of them though. Like after the fact when they re-released them on DVD or Blu-ray, I only bought a couple of them, like this one. So yeah, let me ask this: who's watching has not seen A Clockwork Orange? Because it seems like it's a rite of passage for film fans, you know. Yeah, the eyes and the brainwashing scene are so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know he's Alex DeLarge. I like this is one of the ones that I would say is borderline horror. They have it listed as dystopian crime film, but it's like he shows up on a lot of horror imagery. So I think we should say A Clockwork Orange 100% is a horror movie. I don't know,
think
like,
it is.
oh, I know you think it is, but like for me, you know how I am, Nate. I'm like, I don't know if it's a horror movie or not, but yeah, I think this has got to be a horror movie.
It's in that same range of like Taxi Driver, where you've got the main character is this really horrifying person, and we're following this horrifying person. Like this is what's so great about the '70s cinema, is that people are always wanting likable characters. Well, I guess Alex is a little likable, but not really. He's an awful human being. But like
he's charismatic though. He's charismatic.
Yeah, he's charismatic. But you got like characters who are awful human beings that you're following, you know, and that's why like And some movies that still get made like that people don't like. Like I love Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal when he played the.
Yeah, he's a scumbag.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, and it was fascinating. Just like that's the kind of movies they made in the '70s, which that was highly influenced, definitely by Taxi Driver. But yeah, I mean, Clockwork Orange is it's just one of those rite of passage movies for any film fan. You have to check that out. You're either going to love it or hate it. And a lot of people are divided. Like my wife doesn't get it. She'll, I don't know why you like that movie. It's just
yeah. I got to be honest. My wife Elizabeth never understood why I liked it, and why. Unfortunately, there were scenes that made me giggle that were ultra violent, if you will. So, moving on. Another one I have not seen, which you come highly acclaimed from you, Straw Dogs from 1970. And I know there's a remake, but
I don't even know if I watched the remake. Straw Dogs was made by one of my favorite filmmakers, Sam Peckinpah, who made my favorite Western, The Wild Bunch. The Wild Bunch was kind of the movie. Yeah, The Wild Bunch was like the movie that really made Peckinpah a big deal. It was like one of those violent films at the time. I think it was the first movie where you actually saw like gunfire and blood, like squibs. And but what happened was he made Wild Bunch, and he kind of redefined violence and the Western. He was really interested in making things very authentic. So The Wild Bunch feels like what the West probably really was like, And then he followed that up with a beautiful movie called The Ballad of Cable Hogue, which was totally not The Wild Bunch. It was a very spiritual, Jason Robards, David Warner movie. It was like a personal movie for him. People didn't want that. They wanted more violence. So he makes this movie, Straw Dogs, which is based on a novel as well. And basically, Dustin Hoffman plays a mathematician who has a grant, and he's got this beautiful young British wife. And they've moved back to her hometown, and he's going to do his studying there in this farmhouse that they're I don't know if they're renting it or buying it. And they need some help around the farm. They're redoing the garage. So her old boyfriend and some buddies, guys around the town, they hired them to come out and fix the barn or do work around the farm while he's working. And there's tension between the couple, and the guys are eyeballing the wife, and it's like, hey, and they don't like him. He's this nerdy American outsider, and there's all tensions, and they kind of they kind of are being assholes towards him, and he kind of takes it, but it's a very ugly movie, and it did. A lot of people didn't like it, and I hadn't watched it in a long time, and I watched it the other night, and I was like, kind of floored of how brutal and violent and upsetting it is. Like, there's a rape scene in this movie that is one of the worst I've ever seen. As far as is really upsetting and disturbing, and but it's really moving towards how far can you push somebody, and the movie's really about the ugliness of male aggression and male violence, and it's just a powerful film from the '70s. The kind of movies that were coming out at that time that really alarmed people at the time. Like movies like Clockwork came out the same year as Clockwork, I think.
Yeah,
and so you had like Wild Bunch, Bonnie and Clyde, the Clockwork Orange, Straw Dogs. These movies were really pushing the level, The Godfather, pushing the level of violence on screen, and kind of changing cinema in many ways. And Straw Dogs is not maybe as notorious as, say, Clockwork or Bonnie and Clyde, but definitely I just love Peckinpah's films. After this, he did Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which was a really kind of underrated great Western. And then stuff like Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia and Cross of Iron. So this was a guy who was really interested in just showing male, like what real men were like, and kind of unapologetic about it. And so he was a hell of a dude. And his films are, again, like I saw The Wild Bunch, and it just kind of changed. It made me a big fan right away. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite movies. So Straw Dogs has a home invasion for the second half of the movie, the ending. So it's moving toward the home invasion. So
yeah,
kind of a siege.
I need to. That's another one I plan on looking for tomorrow, because that was another one you mentioned. It may have even been on our list I can't remember, for the 70s, but that was another one you mentioned way back when we did the 70s show. One movie from the 70s that didn't make it on our list was Torso. I don't know what's wrong with me. Why do I laugh? When I think of Italian movies, they make me laugh for some reason. Torso is an odd movie. It's a by the numbers giallo, really, an Italian horror movie by Sergio Martino, and it's about a killer, obviously, who wears black leather gloves, and there is a great home invasion. It's like the middle chunk of the movie. It's very odd. A guy, he goes around, suffocates girls. He mutilates their bodies. He's wearing a mask, and really his mask almost it's kind of like one of those pullover
like
masks.
a baby blue ski mask kind of thing.
I think it's gray.
It's great, because I ended up I did a Blu-ray cover for this for release in France. Yeah, like
it doesn't look the same like in any scene, though. That's the thing. But seriously, but he does have the red and black thing, whatever.
He's a scarf.
Like
that's what he uses to strangle women, right?
He uses it to strangle the women, and then he mutilates their bodies. And anyway, he goes up to this. He's stalking this certain girl who I feel like you think is one of the main characters, but they end up killing her in the middle of the movie. And again, I don't want to give away too much. It's a really good giallo movie if you've never seen a giallo, good entry movie with some gore. And it's a good. Sergio Martino made a lot of movies between like 71 and 73, apparently, because there are like 6 or 7. I guess when you're Italian, you just make movies all the time.
The Italians crank them out, man.
They do.
Like, especially like the spaghetti westerns. Like, there were, I think I read that there were like 400 spaghetti westerns made in the 60s and 70s in Italy and Spain. Just after Fistful of Dollars came out, they just started. That's what they do. They crank them out. So just like they cranked out the zombie movies when the zombie thing, when Dawn of the Dead came out, and they make them really cheap. Fast.
Really cheap. But they're very effective, in my opinion. Like Fulci talking about zombies, he made 4 movies back to back to back within like a year and a half span. So, but I don't know. Give Torso a try. It is on Shudder. I think it's worth watching. It's not dubbed, so it's got the subtitles at the bottom, which put your phone down and watch it so you can pay attention to what they're saying. There are a lot of nudity in this movie. A lot. I mean, I started watching it last night, and I forgot that at the beginning the camera pans down and it's boobs. And my son comes down right away, and the whole credits, it's these people like making love and stuff, and there's a doll that keeps popping up because that's a part of the thing. And my son comes down right when it pans down. He's like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "Not porno."
Yeah.
And I paused. He's like, "Oh, it's on Shudder, so it's okay." I was like, "Yeah, it's okay." But it's really good. It's a, like I said, kind of a by the numbers giallo, if you know what that is. Black leather gloves, mysterious killer. There's a twist later on. I like it though. They always have great content. Yeah, they do. I mean, you get that one great shot of New York in almost in every Italian movie. But I don't know. I think it's worth checking out. Nate, I don't know if have you ever seen Torso?
Yeah, I said I did the Blu-ray cover, so I watched it for that, and I'd seen it before I did that, so I've seen it at least twice. But I don't. After a while, a lot of those giallo movies kind of blend in with me, unless they're made by like Argento or somebody like really fucking great,
I think Sergio Martino's set themselves apart. Based on who the killer is, because there's always a twist who the killer is. Plus, when Edwidge Fenech comes into play, that changes everything, because she is everything. Anyway, let's move on to one that I think a lot of people may not think of as an invasion movie, but totally is. It's Black Christmas.
Yeah, totally plays with the. I think there's another one on this list too that plays with the same kind of urban legend of the killer is inside the house thing, because the girls are getting phone calls. It's a sorority house during Christmas Eve, and they're getting the phone calls from a perverted. He's breathing heavy, saying crazy shit, and but I guess I gave it away. The whole thing
but I think at this point, if you
I think it.
That's the classic. That was for a long time the go-to Christmas horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, so Black Christmas is. It's weird. There really aren't that many great Christmas horror movies, and to me, this is easily in the top 5.
Krampus is good, right?
I don't really love Krampus much.
Really?
Yeah, but there really aren't really great ones. Black Christmas is really good. It's just, I think it's always amused me that Bob Clark directed this and Christmas Story, because it's like you can see similarities, but it's like this guy made the great Christmas comedy movie and this one of the best horror movies set in Christmas. But yeah, when it comes to Christmas horror movies, Gremlins may be the best. I don't know. I can't think of nothing jumps out at me oh yeah, those are the best ones.
I will say the last 5 to 7 or 8 years, there's been a lot of Christmas themed horror movies. 13 Sleighs or whatever. Anyway,
I still would say that.
Yeah, not really worth it. Black Christmas is an invasion movie, one of the best slashes of all time.
Sean likes it.
That is the first positive comment we've ever gotten from
that's the first scoop of life cereal for Sean. He likes it.
It is. I think I was late to the Black Christmas craze or whatever, but it's not my favorite movie. I'll just put it that way. I like it. John Saxon is in it. Margot Kidder is awesome in this movie. What's her name?
Olivia Hussey.
Oh my God! There's some great performances.
Art Hingle, right? And Art Hingle in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's true. I think I need to watch it again. I think the problem is it's one of those movies that people are like, "Oh, it's such a great movie," and I'm like, "Fuck you." I do that. I shouldn't do that. And I want to see because it's so great.
And you want to see what the difference of budget is. I think Bob Clark made this, and Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things around the same year, same time.
Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things was, I think, a couple years prior. By the way, that's my favorite Bob Clark movie. I love that movie. Margot Kidder, man. Margot Kidder makes Black Christmas. She's great. Talk about fellatio. I think that was the first time I ever heard that word. So anyway, and there's 2 remakes that are not as good. Didn't you say don't bother watching the newest one?
Me and my wife, my daughter, tried to watch that while we were on vacation in a hotel, and it was. I don't like it when people go, "Oh, the movie's so woke. The movie's so woke." That movie is as woke as they get. It's really? It's in your face with every goddamn scene. It's like this is what we're telling you, and we're going to tell you every scene. And it's like, okay, we get. Even my daughter's like, okay, we get it. Men suck. It's like just hammering in your head. It just distracts from the movie. I can't get any movie out of it. All I get is your message.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I thought the trailer looked pretty decent, but whatever. The 06 or whatever one wasn't too bad in my opinion, but
although I will say though, not to cut you off, but the home invasion genre, looking at a lot of these movies again, not very kind to women. It is really if there's a home invasion, those women are going to get molested or told to strip or get raped, and it's
especially in the early ones.
I think it's part of why I've actually rewatching a lot of these, especially the ones later. I don't like these movies as much as I once did. I really kind of, and at that point where I'm like, these are just ugly movies that make me feel bad, and I don't like them. So I've even made them, but hey, Seth looks like the guy from Hush.
He kind of does. All right. So this next one whose was this?
This is Seth. So he's just in time.
Just in time, Seth. You ready? Get to talking.
Maybe you can't hear. You with us?
I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I can hear you now.
I'm still having a little trouble with my computer right here.
You want to tell? Can you tell us about Somebody's Watching Me?
Hold on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When it came down to when I gave my list, there wasn't really a lot of options that I've seen. This one I think kind of counts because there's a woman who's constantly getting these presents delivered to her apartment, and there's someone who he occasionally goes into her apartment. He's got like a microphone like stashed underneath her desk, you know what I mean? So he's listening to her conversations. There's and he's watching from across the street. I don't know. It counts. Am I glitchy here?
Not too bad, no. The camera may be, but your
Camera
voice is
is
coming in.
your voice. Yeah, your voice is good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a TV movie that Carpenter made the same year he made
Oh,
Halloween.
this was the Carpenter one. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same year Halloween came out.
I should have known.
It's kind of a precursor for Halloween. A lot of you see the groundwork for Halloween in this movie, really. And you got Adrian Barbeau in it as well. You got some, familiar faces, Charles Cyphers. And we talked about that. Like, we've left a lot of slashers off if we could, because a lot of slasher movies are home invasion movies. Like Halloween is totally Friday the 13th. A lot of those are home invasion movies. It's kind of like ingrained
camp
in that
movies. Come on.
genre.
Yeah, this one. I think the only way to see this one is Scream Factory put it on Blu-ray not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. I would ask Seth if he owns it, but I already know the answer. If it's got John Carpenter's name on it, he owns it. So that's what year was that? It's 1970. So this is the same year as Halloween. Where did this fall in your Carpenter ranking? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was somewhere like a mid-list. It's a good movie. He shot this before Halloween, but it didn't get released until after Halloween.
After his success. Kind of a Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation type of thing, See some success, let's release it now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's better than that movie. All right, next movie. Classic. This is one of the ones you think of when you think of home invasion, right?
Yeah. Again, going with the whole classic killers inside the house, urban legend. Have you checked the children? Yeah, that opening of that movie is just pure horror. It's just so great. Carol Kane is fantastic in it.
And most people think it's the whole movie.
Yeah, it is. It's like, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's not that long, yeah. Could you imagine if they dragged that out for an hour and a half?
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been way too much.
Even with the remake in 2006 or whatever, they were able to figure out a way to play around, because the second half of that movie is totally different from the first half of the movie. But Carol Kane's performance in this one was really good, and I don't know, I've always liked it. I got it on Blu-ray recently. I just haven't watched it yet, so it's been a long time since I've actually seen it. Why haven't you checked the children? There's another one of those movies that I saw on Terror in the Aisles that I was like, I have to see this. This one looks really good. That tension that you get just watching the clips from Terror in the Aisles. It was enough for me to want to watch this movie, which, again, I just got it and I haven't seen it in a while. I forgot that I bought it. I don't think that one's streaming either. So
very, very terrifying voice. So Carol Kane's playing the babysitter, and she's getting these phone calls. The kids are sleeping upstairs, and this guy's like, "Have you checked the children? Have you checked the children?" And she calls the cops and say, "Hey, somebody keeps calling here," and her saying shit. And terrifying. At least the opening of the movie is totally worth checking out if you haven't seen it. And they got a decent sequel that came out.
Oh yeah, when a stranger calls back in the 90s, he's a little bit older, and it's not too bad. The thing that got me about it, like by the time I saw this movie, Carol Kane was kind of a wacky actress. Seeing her, it was like Transylvania 65000 or the Bill Murray
Scrooged.
Yeah. It's like, so it was like, oh, that's that goofy fairy lady, or the hunchback lady from freaking.
She kind of had a dramatic career in the 70s. She was in a lot of she was even nominated for an Oscar, I think, for something in the 70s. I forget what it was. I remember she was talking about it, how Jack Nicholson and Angelica Houston took her out after she didn't win the Oscars because they knew what it was like to lose and how lonely it is.
The remake gets so much hate, but I prefer the whole movie. Yeah, the remake's okay. All right, moving on because we're getting close and we're only on the 10th one.
Yeah. Okay.
House by the Edge of the Park. Whose was this?
That was Jared's.
Okay.
I guess I could talk. I don't know. Have you guys seen that?
I've never seen it. Is that Krug?
Yeah, that's Krug. It's David Hess. David Hess did like 3 movies that are kind of, I don't know, they're kind of looked at as a trilogy. Like Last House on the Left, which is also kind of falls into a home invasion, even though they're invited into the home of the parents. But this one, I don't remember this one much. I have seen it. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 of the trilogy. The other one was Hitchhike with Franco Nero. But this was directed by the guy that made Cannibal Holocaust. And it's just one of those very those type of movies like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left, Spit on Your Grave, another home invasion movie that didn't make our list. But and there's another one too, 1977 Death Weekend with Don Stroud, which was a big influence on another movie it's on our list. I'll talk about later. But this one is just like these people are at a party. It's kind of disco era, and David Hess and the other guy like take this group of people hostage and are, what happens in home invasion movies. They're torturing them and killing them off, and ugliness happens. I don't remember a lot because I can't really embellish on it.
Yeah, well, it's Jared's pick, so I've never seen it. Seth, have you ever seen this one?
Nope.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jared's not here to defend and tell us why it's a good movie. I've seen it, but it's tough to sit through. Scott says, indeed, it's rough. Well,
yeah, it's one of those exploitation movies. Yeah, I'm
not a big fan of exploitation. Like I Spit on Your Grave, I do not like that movie. Oddly enough, I didn't mind the remake. Maybe I'm just not a real horror fan. I'm basic, right? I'm a basic horror fan. Next up is People Under the Stairs. Kind of a reverse type of home invasion movie. Kind of not. This was on Keith's list, I think, right?
Yeah, Keith picked this one. And yeah, it's a reverse. The people breaking in are heroes, kind of like. Did the other one? Yeah, another one on our list is like that too. Pretty much the same plot. And we talked about that. The reverse, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was brought up, even though they're not breaking in to attack or steal or anything. They're just trying to get some gas or
right.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if this totally fits in the home invasion, but it is. They're breaking in, but it's just turning it over where the threat is who lives there as opposed to who's breaking in. Marcellus Wallace and he's got a pair of pliers and a blowtorch going to work on the homes.
I like this movie quite a bit.
I do too.
Not to say anything bad about it. It's a good movie. Wes Craven, some good acting.
Wes had a good career in the 90s for me. I think this and Scream and New Nightmare and he did some good stuff in the 90s. This is one of his best of the 90s. It wasn't a major hit.
No, he finished the 80s
Indigo,
off third, in my opinion. But I like this one quite a bit. What's wrong with Indigo? Doesn't Indigo know you're in the middle of the show?
They're lighting off fireworks.
Oh Lord. Muzzle.
Yeah.
Anyway,
going off right now. You might want to mute me.
Okay, I'll mute you for a minute. Does that not work? All right, next one is speaking of Wes Craven.
Oh, there we go. Scream. Said we weren't going to pick a slasher, but we did.
Yeah.
I think I picked this one to fill out the 25, but I don't think people think about this as a home invasion, but it totally is. Like that opening 10 minutes is a home invasion, and it's one of the best 10 minutes of any movie, in my opinion. The whole scene with Casey Becker.
Well, yeah, you're right, exactly. But even like the next night at Sydney's house. That's a home invasion.
Sydney's home invasion.
I mean, you
Stu
could
and
almost say it's a home invasion at the party. I mean,
yeah,
it's his house.
the whole
And it's
series.
fun,
I mean, the whole series is that
yeah.
the Ghostface breaking into people's homes and
Oh, yeah.
attacking them.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and Scream is one of the best. It's one of the best to do it.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's not much we need to say about Scream. Scream is one of the, is if not the best movie of the 90s. It's one of the two best movies of the horror movies of the 1990s, and it's a slasher classic. And if you haven't seen Scream at this point, you might be. I'm not gonna say you are, but you might be failing as a horror fan.
The entities, yeah.
I know.
I mean, any poltergeist movie, I guess, would be a home invasion. And well, if the ghost is from there, I don't know. Like, does a ghost live
You
in that
can't
house?
invade your own house, right?
Can't invade your own house, but she's being invaded for sure.
Yeah.
That's a scary movie.
Oh, that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got a really good scene. Well, that's one I'd like to revisit. I haven't seen that one in a long time.
Entity's a
All right.
terrifying movie.
Yeah, this one's not mine. I didn't like it, but funny game. I think this is Jared's, and it's got a remake made by the same director, which is odd to me.
Yeah, this is one of mine. I don't know if I
Oh,
think
this was yours? I thought it was
Jared picked it, but I would have had it on it if he hadn't.
Okay.
Fun, like Michael Haneke is a great filmmaker, and this is one of his earlier works. After this, like, he was getting nominated for Oscars and won all kinds of awards at Cannes. And but Funny Games, it was a movie did in '97 about this family staying in their, I guess, their summer house or whatever, and then and like this real secluded, gated community on a lake, and these two yuppie boys, I guess 18, 19 years old, kind of come over and they're playing games and they're going house to house, and they come in and they attack the husband where he just can't do anything. He can't walk. They take him out, and then they just keep the family and play these games with each other thing. But the big thing about it was, like, the movie breaks the fourth wall a lot, where the characters are like the main bad guy is like looking at the camera and like winking at you and talking to you, like, what do you think? You think they're going to make it? You think they're going to win? And what Michael was doing was he felt that people had gotten so desensitized for violence that it's like, hey, you're a voyeur, you're playing along with us, and you know how this is going to go. So it's just that he said he saw a movie. I think it was the Tom Jones movie, which I've never seen, but it was a movie about Tom Jones. And in the movie, a character like looked at the screen and said something, and he thought it was brilliant. It always stayed with him, so he brought it into this movie to. He's just a filmmaker who takes chances. He made a movie called Benny's Video before this, and there's a few others. Amore was one that was Oscar nominated. The White Ribbon. Cachet was the first thing I'd seen that he did, which was, I think it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes that year. But yeah, this is it's a hard watch. Again, another hard watch. Not a fun watch. And like you said, he remade the movie in English, pretty much shot for shot, with Naomi Watts and Tim Roth and Michael Pitt. And I liked it as well. I mean, it's. I think because I don't think people over here saw the original. I think that's what it is. I think most people know the remake.
I know the remake, and I remember when the Horror Syndicate started, I'd never heard of it, and the remake was more readily available, so I saw that before I ever saw the remake, or the original. So, sorry, I'm reading their comments here. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me, this one. Am I coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys go silent. I'm like, am I? Anyway,
you made your statement. I like it. Go ahead.
Jared likes it too, and he said I remember now. You brought it up, Funny Games, and then he's like, not the 2007 fucking remake, and I was like, it's made by the same guy. How much different is it?
It's not very
Roth
different.
Remake, is that who it is?
Tim Roth's the dad in the remake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I need to give it another shot. I saw it in 2016 again with my wife, who She had a big impact on my opinion. I can't think for myself, guys. So where are we? Number 14, High Tension, which we did a whole episode
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Well, my favorite horror movie of that era, um, kind of kick-started. There were a few before it, but to me, this was kind of where the new French extreme horror thing started. Which a few more of those are on this list because so many of those movies centered around home invasions, and High Tension was this movie that it starts out with like the first half of it is a home invasion, and it's one of the most intense things because it's kind of this cat and mouse. Just it was so effective. Like my parents really weren't into foreign films, and I said, "You got to watch this because I'm just in love with this thing." And they're like, "Well, I don't want to read subtitles." I was like, "You don't even need to know what's being said because it's such a. It could be a silent film and it would work because you're really just watching Marie hiding from the killer for a good or even trying to get not be seen by him
Yeah.
for most of the movie, which is really intense. And you could just watch it visually, turn all the volume off of it, and still be appreciative of it. But yeah, it's one of my favorite films. One of my favorite horror films, top 15.
Yeah, it was one that really surprised the shit out of me when I saw it, which I believe was a couple years after it came out. And man, it just such a good movie. It surprised me. I just loved it. Yeah, a great twist ending. I didn't expect that ending either. I don't think any of us. We did a whole show on this one last year. So
Yeah.
best head scene.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got a fun story about that head scene.
oh man.
When I actually got to meet Philippe, who played the killer. He was I think it was the only show he ever did in the States, Horror Hound Weekend in Cincinnati. And I was right next to him, and right next to him was Kane Hodder. And so the two of them, Philippe didn't speak a lot of English at all, but like they would kind of tease each other because they were both movie killers.
Mm.
And I guess Kane must have went and watched High Tension Friday night because Saturday night he's like telling him what a dirty guy was. He goes, "I saw what you did in that movie." He goes, "In that car, that truck," and like the other people were, Kane always has entourage. He's like, "Did you all see that movie? Did you see what he did with that head?" and Philippe's just sitting over with this big grin on his face. And I asked him, I said, "Does it bother you when you play roles like that?" Because he played a few heavies. And he goes, "No, it's fun." Rest in peace. He passed away like a year or two ago.
Yeah,
I think it was last year.
I think we mentioned that on the show the last time. Yeah, it's definitely a good one if you've never seen it. It's really tense. I mean, it lives up to the title. So trying to move faster. Here's Inside, one I've never seen that I need to see. I've been trying to buy this one, but I can't get a copy yet. I'm trying to buy local, like at supporting my movie shops. I haven't been buying as much online the last year, so I'm waiting to see if they ever get a copy up at Vintage Stock. Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away. But Nate, this is one of yours too, isn't it?
Inside, yeah. It's, I think Jared picked it as well. We may be the only ones that seen it. Another part of the French extreme. I actually waited to watch this because when it came out on DVD, my wife was pregnant with our daughter. And if you don't know the movie's set on Christmas Eve, and this woman is about to, I guess she's about to be induced to the next morning on Christmas to deliver her baby. She's like really ready to go. And she's by herself on Christmas Eve. Her husband, the very beginning of the movie, she's in a car accident. Her husband dies. So she's all on her own. And this woman shows up at her door wanting to come in, wanting to cut the baby out of her. She wants the baby.
Oh my God.
It's a home. So I held off until the baby was born before I watched the movie. But it is one of the best slashers ever made. It's one of the best horror films of the 2000s. It's really good. Everything about it, it's really pitch perfect. Brutal.
Yeah.
It's very, very well made, very well shot. The performances are really great. It's I highly, highly recommend it. Unfortunately, it's not available a lot out there right now. So, but it's not an easy watch. It's very, again, it's part of that French extreme that High Tension was a part of. But it's a solid movie. Really good slasher
it's
film.
definitely one I do want to see at some point. You've always talked highly of it.
And it was a one that was an influence on my short, my Fear for Sinners here was that, and All Through the House was inside.
So here, another French movie.
Oh my God, Martyrs.
Yeah, Martyrs. Not the remake, of course, because there's an American. There's a what? Shit. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, Martyrs. I must not have gotten like Mike Lombardo. You remember Mike from the show, Not Dreaming of the White Doomsday. He, Jared, and Brian were all like when we did the old show, telling me I need to see this, and I did, and I don't know if I got it. I don't think I understood it because I watched it. I'm like, it's fucked up, but like I don't get this movie, so it didn't really do much for me.
This is a movie I watched. There were two movies I remember at the time where after I finished, I called up my buddy Sean, who's on the show once, Sean Dolphin. I said, you need to come over and watch this. And one was Wreck. This was the other one.
Wreck.
And this movie, like Martyrs, for those who don't know, the movie begins with a young girl who escapes. She's been held captive and tortured, and she somehow escapes this industrial place, and she's running and she escapes, and then she goes into this like children's home for disturbed children, and while she's there she befriends another girl, and then it like flash forward 15 years and we meet his family, this white bread for nuclear family who are having breakfast, and they get a ring on the doorbell, and the dad answers the door, and
Whoa.
The girl who was tortured just blows him to hell with a shotgun and just comes in the house, invades the house, and murders the family. And it turns out that she saw a picture of them, and she recognized the parents as the people who tortured her all those years that she escaped. But she's haunted by this. I don't want to give anything away, but it's just this movie just keeps unfolding and going more into hell, descending. And I watched it again last night for the first time in a long time, and it made me physically sick. It did. It was like this movie. I have outgrown these type of movies. Like I'm like, I don't want to. I just can't. I can't watch these movies anymore. They're just too extreme for me, to the point where it's not that I'm sissy or anything, but I think when you're younger, you're like, yeah, I want to see the most fucked up shit that's out there. And as you get older, you're like, I don't really need to sit through that. That's not really giving me any, at this point, I want to.
Maybe that's what it was.
It doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me.
Maybe that's what it was for me, because I watched it, I'm like, okay. I understood what was going on, but I just didn't get why it was so acclaimed. I mean, maybe it just wasn't for me. Maybe it's maybe the same thing for me. But it's a very acclaimed, highly acclaimed movie. Seth, have you ever seen Martyrs? You're not on mute anymore, if you didn't know.
No, I have not. I've heard a lot about it though.
Yeah, I actually was able to find it
streaming?
It's not. I don't think so. I'm 47 and still seek out the brutal. Well, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong with it. Just that for me, and my tastes, I don't find that entertaining. I find it more like.
And then we've moved.
I don't need to be shocked. Like someone said, I don't feel the need to be shocked anymore, and I feel that way. Like I don't want to be shocked. I don't be shocked. I want to be. I don't know. There's something. Yeah, there's a movie on the list that's coming up that, like, when I saw it in the theaters, it shook me, it rocked me, but not the way Martyrs did.
It's the last movie on the list. If I'm certain it's the last one. So let's move on to the next one, which is The Strangers. Another one that was very highly seen, I guess. I think everybody knows this movie. People are at home. So I guess I don't know if they're married or just dating, but their relationship's falling apart. And then these people in the masks pop up because they were home. That's the best line in the whole movie. Why are you doing this? Because you were home.
Yeah, this movie. People hate this movie for some reason.
People do hate this
movie. I do not get it. The Strangers is a highly effective movie. It's the use of the patience of it, the use of sound or the absence of sound, and absence of music. It's a very creepy movie, and I have to mention another movie that Oddly enough, they say they never saw when they made Strangers, but there's a movie called Ills. It's another part of the French movies. It's I think the English title is Them. Pretty much the same
You brought that
movie
one up, didn't you?
where a couple is at home and these kids are out in hoodies knocking on their door and trying to get in and torment them, and they end up getting in, killing them. And, you already said the instant. We did this because you were home.
Right.
At the end of the Strangers, they come out of the woods and they hitchhike, don't they? They get on a truck. They're going to go do something else. In Them, the kids come out of the woods and they get on a school bus. And they go, so they're like even younger than the ones in the Strangers. But they claim that the people who made the Strangers claim that they never saw Them. But yeah, see, people hate it. I don't know why they hate the Strangers.
Yeah. Jared's not here. We lost Nate. Oh, so does he have cancer? I didn't know that. Well, we lost Nate for a minute. Oh, here he comes. Did you drop your phone?
No, it's been happening lately. I get dropped from the show just out of the blue.
No, sorry about that.
I didn't do frame or something.
But yeah, so we're getting close on time here. So the next one is one of Keith's movies, The Collector. It is 100% a home invasion movie. I barely remember this, but I remember it being pretty good. I saw The Collection, which is the sequel first, which is they're both pretty good. I would recommend them. Have you guys either seen this one?
I've seen them both. I didn't really care for the other one. I don't remember much.
Basically, people are trapped in a house and he's hunting them down. And then the first one, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've seen that one. Since that's Keith's, we'll move on if you guys are okay with that. One I've never seen that actually people brought up, Kidnapped. I've never seen this one, but apparently a lot of people have, and I keep seeing that box art that I think you showed or somebody showed it in the group chat.
I shared it. I picked this up at Horror Hound probably 8 years ago. It's funny, the guy that had it, he said, I was buying it. I said, how much you want for this? He said, what is this? I'm like, it was over there. He goes, I don't know if I've seen this. And he's like, him and his wife were like, have you seen this? It's like they didn't want to sell it to me because they hadn't watched it. And so they sold it to me. But it's a Spanish film. It's made up of like 12 long takes. Like almost like they're doing it like they don't cut, so that you're falling around. And basically it's this family, wife, husband, and daughter, teenage daughter, who move into their new house. And that night, these three masked men break into the house, take them hostage, trying to get all their money, and they take the dad out to the ATMs to get more money. And while all that's happening, it's just, the type of brutal, scary shit happens, that you see in home invasion movies where the characters are trying to escape. And like, the guy, but what this is like, they're divided. So the dad's out with this other guy, and the guy's like, if you don't do what I ask you, I'm going to just call him and murder your wife and your daughter. Like it's just going to happen. So another not easy watch. Although it's Spanish, it could fit into that whole French extreme category. But yeah, I won't say any more. But if you can find Kidnapped, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, and not to be confused with the Halle Berry movie Kidnapped, because that kept coming up when I was searching for it the last couple of days. The next one on the list is probably my favorite on the list. You're Next. And the year 2011 was the Toronto International Film Festival, but it also was released wide in 2013. So sorry, I just want to make sure nobody says anything about it. I am aware. But I love this movie. Great movie, great cast. It's the same director of King Kong versus Godzilla. What's his name? I can't think of his name now.
Alex Garland. Oh, not Alex Garland. Adam Wingard.
Adam Wingard, yeah. And he made the Blair Witch movie and a few other good ones, part of the VHS movies, the first two. He's a really good director, in my opinion. This movie's great. It has a great song that we talked about at the beginning, Looking for the Magic. Larry Fessenden's for a brief minute at the beginning. I love that guy as an actor. He's like a poor man's Jack Nicholson. Ty West is in. He plays Tariq, a documentary filmmaker. Yeah,
And
and it's got a couple of staples from like Ty West's not a staple, but the Crispin was in House of the Devil.
AJ Bowen, yeah.
Yeah, AJ Bone. Yeah, it's and plus I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Sharni
Joe
Vincent.
Sharni
Uh,
Vincent was a
she
main final girl.
fucking amazing in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm in love with her. I'm
She's
just
great. And I was
yeah, she's
looking like
awesome.
she hasn't done shit. Like she's done a few things since that, but I'm like, where did Sharni? Because she's fantastic in this movie. I got the chance to meet her and two of the killers at Horror Hound, and she's a
Cast her.
sweetheart.
She's not
But
anything.
like
Cast her.
I love that first part where she first kills the one dude with the tenderizer, and then she just rips his mask off, picks his head, and goes, any of y'all know this guy?
Yeah, and drops his head. Yeah,
I just fucking love that. Like she
I
is
do
totally
too, yeah.
in control. She is in charge of this.
well,
Shit.
they're all surprised at this, and you
Yeah.
don't find out what happens till towards the end. But everybody's surprised, like, where did this chick come from? She is a badass throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Definitely worth watching. I think it's streaming somewhere.
I enjoyed the movie more than I thought I would because I remember
Me
being
too.
kind of. I was a little biased about it because they worked on VHS, I think, right
Yeah.
before this.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember watching the VHS commentary, and they were doing the commentary. It was like Wingard and West and all that. And all they would talk about was it was like a commercial for Your Next. The whole time they're just pimping Your Next out, and I'm like, all right, enough of your fucking movie, like, because that's all they wanted to talk about. Like, you're supposed to be doing commentary on this movie, and you're just promoting your other movie.
Now I want to watch. Now I watch commentary on VHS. I love Your Next. It's so good. I bought it. It was a blind buy. I bought it with my wife. We had 2 hours to kill, so we went to Family Video, bought it, came home, watched that, and we're like, that movie's awesome. And plus, Barbara Crampton's in it. It's the first time I remember seeing her since like 1995. So it was very, very.
Yeah, it was her kind of return for her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because her career has kind of bounced back since then.
She's been busy ever since.
Yeah, because she was in that movie Jacob's Wife, which was pretty good. That's on Shudder. She was in a few other ones. Beyond the Gates was a fun movie. Next one, we got to keep moving, is The Purge. I know somebody mentioned The Purge earlier. But yeah, The Purge. I mean, it's absolutely 100% a home invasion movie.
Yeah.
People we see are trying to get in because the Ethan Hawke's kid lets this guy wandering down the street inside to protect them. It's actually a pretty damn good movie in my opinion. But
yeah, it's kind of the Rio Bravo, and even what's another? Straw Dogs is kind of that where they let somebody in.
Yeah.
That's why the whole thing. Like, I remember I need to watch this one again because, I think I was just exhausted with home invasion movies at this point. That I was like, oh, I don't remember loving it. I remember liking the second one better. But I need to watch this one again.
I did too, but I watched it again recently. I'm like, this is actually a pretty good movie. I think because I saw this one on the heels of Your Next. Actually, we watched it right after that. I'm like, this is a lesser movie in my opinion. But yeah, the second one it's bigger scoped and it's in the city and you see what happens during the Purge. Rather than people trying to break in during the Purge.
Yeah, I guess I'm a big Judgment Night fan, so it's kind of like Judgment Night. You're out on the road.
Yeah. Okay, Seth, you want to say anything? I know you've been kind of quiet. I know. I understand why.
Yeah, I liked The Purge quite a bit. The first one is my personal favorite because it's a home invasion movie and because it is more of a simple horror movie as opposed to being more action like the sequels are. And there's they do pretty well with trying to incorporate some sort of like morality to it. With the kid wanting to do the right thing, but the parents wanting to do the right thing for their family. I kind of like that whole thing with it. I think it's a pretty damn good movie.
Let me tell you guys right now, my son watched it with me and he said, that kid is so stupid. That let the guy in. I was like, well, just wait, let's see how it plays out. Let's move on. We got 4 left, and there's one I know we want to talk about. Intruders. You saw this recently, did you, Nate?
Yeah, Keith was one to put this on the list, and I hadn't seen it, so I watched it a few nights ago, and yeah, it was good. It was I enjoyed it. Like, it was very different. This girl here, her brother dies of, I guess, cancer in the very beginning of the movie, and they live in this big house, and these people break in to steal money that's there, and she's kind of agoraphobic. She hasn't left the house in, I don't know, a decade or so.
She has food delivered to her all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like this is a hostage that will not leave, even if you let her open the front door. You know, so it's and it just other things unfold. But I was actually really enjoyed it. Has one of the Culkins in it. Was it Rory?
Yeah, I think it was Rory. I was looking at the back of it. I actually have it right here with me. It's one of them.
I think it's Rory Culkin. Rory. One from Scream 4.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. Streaming on something. I can't remember where it's Prime.
I picked this up at Walmart for $5. I was like, oh, because the cover looked cool. I was like, that looks pretty cool. You know, all the weapons down there. So it was $5, and I was like, oh, it ended up being pretty damn good. I'm gonna look real fast to see where it's streaming because it's definitely worth a watch. Tubi, Vudu, and Pluto TV, which was the first time I think I've said that out loud. Coming up next is a very popular one, Don't Breathe. I just saw it a couple days ago for the first time, and I've had it in my collection for quite some time.
Kind of the people under the stairs plot line, people breaking into somebody's house to rob them.
Yeah, they want to. Apparently, he has like $300,000 or something like that, and they want to get into. What the hell's going on here?
Directed by Fede Alvarez, who made the Evil Dead remake.
Also you're like, if you like Evil Dead, you'll like this. I'm like, why? Is it like the Evil Dead movie?
It's like I don't follow directors. But you also have Jane Levy back from Evil Dead.
Jane Levy is amazing. Yeah. Oh, she was the best part of the movie in my opinion.
And of course you got what's his name? Stephen Lang as the blind man. Always intense guy. So it's fun exercise in intention and sound.
It's the second movie on the list that they're picking on a blind person. I don't think I saw the Intruders on Shudder. I just wanted to comment on that. But another blind person, but this guy's very able. He's
like a Navy SEAL.
I wish I would see that. Yeah. He's pretty much Stephen Lang generally plays a badass from almost everything I can remember, except for a Tombstone. Law Dog. Seth, do you see Don't Breathe?
Yeah. I think it's a good movie. For the exact reasons Nate just said. It's a good exercise in suspense and sound and all that. Cool movie.
Cool movie. The next one is fantastic. Hush, which looks like Seth apparently.
I always like the first time I watched it, like he looks like Ryan Gosling. The little grin.
So does that mean I want to punch this guy in the face?
Yeah, he has that punchable face that you talked about. Like he did. I kept when I first watched it, I didn't enjoy the movie the first time because I kept going, he looks like fucking Ryan Gosling. But when I watched this the second time, I saw how brilliant it was, and it made me an instant Mike Flanagan fan. I hadn't seen Oculus yet. I hadn't seen Absentia. So this was like my real introduction to Flanagan. And Kate, who wrote it and starred in it, and she's phenomenal in it. So this is a really great low budget, clever. I really like
another impaired person.
Kate plays a writer who is deaf and dumb. I guess mutes. They don't say dumb anymore, but mutes. And they play around with that. But what I really love is because she's a writer, she starts kind of deciding what her mission, what she's going to do to get out of this, which is one of my favorite thing about the movie. Like, if I do this, and she envisions it as a writer would. If I do that, he'll kill me. If I do this, I'll get my throat slashed. If I do that, I fucking love that. And I love at the end where she types down, I won't give it away, but she types something right towards the end on her computer. And I say, that is fucking great. So, yeah, this is a really,
really good one.
Really good movie, yeah.
And Seth, didn't you recently see this one? Or was that Keith?
Yeah, I saw it for the first time on Halloween.
Oh, that's right. And how'd you feel about it?
I loved it. I thought it was great, especially the creativity of what Nate was just talking about with her envisioning all the scenarios, because the first one, I thought that was the actual ending, the part with the rock.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I just love that too, how she's having like an inner conversation with herself as she's doing it. And it's pretty realistic with her not being able to pull the string on the crossbow, and her kind of suffering from her wounds. It's very kind of realistic in how it handles the violence. She's pretty much almost out of it by the end. She's barely fighting, with everything she has before slipping away. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think Flanagan's working his way up to like one of the best horror directors. I mean, he's definitely one of the best of our time, in my opinion. But I'll leave it at that. Next one is Mother, which we did a whole show on last year. But this movie is insanity.
Yeah, this is a movie
straight insanity
that shook me without showing me a bunch of torture and porn and gore and blood and guts and women being raped and beaten. I mean, in some ways she is being raped and beaten and burned, but not in the way that we see. It's more allegorical than literal. I don't know. That was a movie I left the theater going, whoa.
Whoa. You saw it in the theater?
Yeah, I saw that in the theater, and it was. I saw it twice in the theater because it was so powerful. I went back and saw it again, but yeah, we did a whole episode on it, which I highly encourage because there's so much going on in that movie to unfold. But it is a home invasion. But the home in this movie is Earth itself, because she is Mother Earth. She is Mother Nature, and mankind is invading her home. Mm-hmm. and raping it and using it and damaging it.
Just watching everything that unfolds throughout the course of this movie, from the beginning when they're trying to like rebuild the house, right, or renovate the house. She's painting it and whatever, and Javier Bardem he's a writer, right?
Yeah,
something like
God.
Yeah, he's excellent in this movie. Also, I don't think we talked about that enough when we talked about he's fucking excellent in this movie. But Mother is one of those movies that got shit on by horror fans when it first came out, and it doesn't deserve the shit it got. It's really, really good when you get down to the heart of the whole thing. Was this one of the ones you missed, Seth? One of the episodes you missed back last year, or did you see this one? I don't remember.
No, I saw this one right before we did the episode, and this was actually on my list.
Was it? Okay.
Mostly because of the mainly because of the chaotic third act.
Yeah.
Where things really started going crazy inside the house. I think it's a good movie. I'm not religious. I didn't pick up on all the religious stuff until Nate explained it on our show.
It took me the second or third time I watched it to get that. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was just something about it. It was just so weird, and I don't know, just Midsummer. There's just something about them being weird and different as horror movies that kind of appeal to me.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you guys a question? Why is it that it's getting cold outside and I've been really jonesing to watch Midsummer? I just thought about that. Seth mentioned it. That and Hereditary. I think it's because I saw them the first time. Anyway, so that's the list. We got 25 movies. We'll run through them real fast. 25 movies to check out, home invasion movies with some great home invasion scenes, or that are all home invasion. Got Cape Fear, either one. I think it's 91 remake.
Yeah.
In Cold Blood, which is one I've not seen, so I'll need to pick that one up. Wait Until Dark is on Shudder, so check that out on Shudder if you got Shudder. If you don't, get it. Clockwork Orange, fantastic horror movie. I kept it out of horror genre for years, but it is. When you start talking about it, it is. Straw Dogs is one Nate picked. I've not seen. Gonna look for that one. Torso is an Italian Jawa or Giallo. Apparently, when I said Giallo, it shows up on the text. What is it called? Subtitles as Jawa. So, me and Star Wars. Black Christmas. We watch this every December. Somebody's Watching Me, a John Carpenter movie. Obviously picked from Seth. Can't do anything without John Carpenter being involved with Seth. When a Stranger Calls, probably one of the most well-known home invasion movies, I think. House by the Edge of the Park, one I have to see. I haven't seen yet. People Under the Stairs, we'll just give it a go. We'll say it's okay. Scream, if it's a slasher, it's a home invasion movie. It's just a great horror movie. Funny Games, it's got a remake by the same director, an American remake. Check it out. I don't care for it. High Tension, fantastic movie, great twist, great characters. It's French. Another French movie, Inside. Did we do 3 French movies in a row?
A lot of French movies. The French were all about the home invasion movies at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, Martyrs. I'm going to give that one another shot. There is a 2015 remake, but check out the original first. The Strangers, another one of the bigger named home invasion movies. The Collector, check it out if you can. One of Keith's selections. Kidnapped is a Spanish horror movie that I've never even heard of, but definitely one I'm going to keep a lookout for. You're Next. My favorite on the list, I'd say. This movie's so good. And go on YouTube and listen to Looking for the Magic by like Gwen Twilly or something like that. I don't know the guy's name, but it's a great song. Put it on repeat. The Purge, the only one of the Purge series that I would say is a home invasion movie. Intruders was a surprising movie that I just blind bought and surprised me. You know, she was good in this. I don't know who that is, but she was good in it. Don't Breathe, another one that's very popular that I just saw recently. Stephen Lang's fantastic. Jane Levy, she's a treasure. Hush is on Netflix, and that's only on Netflix, and they're bastards for not releasing it physically. Mike Flanagan,
motherfuckers.
Motherfucker, exactly. I know. Keith's out there saying the same damn thing. Mike Flanagan's becoming one of my favorite horror directors. Dr. Sleep, Oculus, go check those out. Plus, he's responsible for The Haunting of Hill House and the Bly House, I think is what the other one is. And what's that other show?
Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass on Netflix. And then Mother. So there's 25. This is not a ranking at all. This is just 25 movies you should check out if you're in the mood for a home invasion movie.
I'll name off the couple that I had on my list that we didn't
go ahead.
Have. Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Fargo has a great home invasion scene. Them, Death Weekend, Panic Room, David Fincher's movie. The Desperate Hours with Humphrey Bogart. He actually did 2 home invasion movies, Desperate Hours and Key Largo. Sleep Tight, which is made by one of the guys that made Wreck. It's a Spanish home invasion movie. Dial M for Murder almost made my list. Hitchcock movie. The Fugitive has home invasion. One of the scenes that really bothered me growing up. I
didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
Eye for an Eye, the Sally Field movie, Kiefer Sutherland. Christie. Manhunter. Francis Dolarhyde breaks into homes and kills families.
Oh, yeah.
Rolling Thunder, the William Devane movie that has a really that and Vigilante have these kind of similar home invasion scenes. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Relentless. Judd Nelson plays a home invader, serial killer. Nightbreed. I didn't think about that, but Decker, that home invasion in the beginning of Nightbreed is really scary.
Oh, yeah.
American Werewolf in London has that. We talked about that a bit. Code in July opens with a home invasion with Michael C. Hall. Play Misty for Me.
Oh my God.
Becky.
Yeah.
Becky is one of the new ones with Kevin James. And the last thing I got to go, but last thing I want to mention, if you like the extreme stuff, we talked about the brutal stuff, home invasions. If you've never read Jack Ketchum's book, Off Season, it came out in 1980. It's one of the most rough, violent books I've ever read. Some people are staying in this home, and it's based on the Sonny Bean legend, which Hills Have Eyes was based on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This cannibalistic family break into the home, kill, kidnap, take them back to their cave, and do awful shit to them. And it's just a horrifying book. And they haven't made it to a film yet, but they have made offshoots of it. The second book was called Offspring, which they did make a movie. And then
You mentioned that before, I think, haven't you?
Yeah. And Lucky McKee teamed up with Jack, and they wrote the movie The Woman. Pollyanna McIntosh played this character in The Offspring, and they made The Woman.
From
And then
The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah, and Pollyanna she directed another one called Darling, which I have, but I haven't watched yet. But Off Season is a motherfucker of a book. It's like if you haven't read Jet Ketchum, I recommend them. Another, we lost him. He's passed. But Off Season is a book that he wrote. It was his first book. His name is Dallas, but he goes by Jet Ketchum because he didn't want his family knowing he wrote that book.
It's that Jesus.
Yeah. It's not an easy read, but it's, if you want that brand of home invasion horror, it's probably more disturbing than all these movies on our list. So I'll leave you with that. I got to get going.
All right, we're gonna leave them with your trailer. I still have it. If you don't mind, I'm gonna play it. It's still on here. Thanks, Nate, for helping get the list together, getting all those images together. Thanks for being a part of the show as usual, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. You have to be. It's your show, the Descent movies.
The Descent,
yeah.
Awesome.
You've been waiting for that. I know you have.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a good night, buddy.
Watch it again.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait. So, Seth, I'm gonna play the trailer, and that's the end of the show. We'll be back to talk about the Descent. Is there anything you want to say before we go, Seth?
Evil dies tonight.
Oh, Jesus. All right, everybody, stick around for the next couple minutes. We're going to play, we actually talked about that one. We're going to play Nate's trailer, and it's a pretty good movie coming soon. He's still cutting it, but the trailer's badass. We'll see you next week. We are talking about The Descent and The Descent 2, which is the Descent films, because it's not a franchise.
I would shiver the whole night through.
Want to hear a scary story?
So I guess you're here about that mess we got.
It's an animal of some sort, but not one I've ever seen before.
He believes what he sees is real.
Can you tell me what it is you think you saw?
Tobacco Man?
What is a tobacco man?
Reminds me of them damn stories.
I've been researching myths on the dark and bloody ground for this book that I've been writing.
Every town has its haunted house.
I know there's an urban legend here, something about Moontown and missing children and monsters.
Dale says people still believe there's ghosts haunts that land.
The beast. Been walking this earth since the beginning. Cursed to it.
You've been through hell many times, Leslie. There's a whole lot more out there waiting. For all of us.
Can't you see this?
If I accept what this boy believes, I surrender everything that I know. I mean, how does a man make war with the devil himself?
It's easy. You walk out that door with me.